Solicafé for this event tonight, a conversation between Osama Ilwat and Rotem Levin, two peace activists from Palestine, Israel. We are very happy to have you here tonight. My name is Johanna Dangel, and this is my colleague Isabel Ihring. And we are delighted that so many people followed our invitation on such a short notice, especially in times like these, when it's incredibly important that we don't stop talking to each other. And this is why we are here tonight, to talk to each other. Before we start, I would love to give you some organizational information. We planned that the event will last around 2, maybe 2.5 hours, as long as your energy flows. We are not planning to have a pause, but if Rotem and Osama see and feel that a pause is needed, you can also give sign. We can make a pause. And in the beginning, the two of them will have the floor, and we would invite you to listen. And after their talk, you are invited to talk, to speak, to ask, to comment. Maybe you have already seen we have a professional photographer here tonight who will take pictures, and we will also record this event. And this is why for the audience talk we would love to give a microphone around so that the questions are also on the audio record. If this is not possible, maybe you can repeat them if we don't get the microphone on the other end. Now, I'm really delighted to introduce Osama Ilwat to you. He's a board member of Combatants for Peace and founder of Visit Palestine. And he has dedicated his life to opposing Israeli occupation and apartheid while building meaningful relationships of solidarity between Palestinians and Israelis. He regularly speaks about peace building with organizations across the world, and he lives in Jericho, Palestine. Welcome, Osama, here in Freiburg.
Okay, a very warm welcome. A very warm welcome from my side. Give him that. Better? Yes. Okay. Very warm welcome from my side. I'm very overwhelmed to see that so many people came, and it's nice. It's good. Now I have the pleasure to introduce Rotem Levin. He's a community organizer, an activist, and MD by profession. During his medical studies in Ben Gurion University, he dedicated most of his time to teach himself Arabic and break through the Zionist segregated bubble by making meaningful relationships of solidarity with Palestinians. He invests most of his time in helping to create spaces of personal and collective healing. Before I hand over to you both, I would like to draw attention to our code of conduct. As the contributions may become emotional, because recognizing the pain of the others can be exhausting, we would like to take this opportunity to point out our code of conduct for this evening. We wish to treat each other with respect. We do not accept insults, no devaluations and shaming of people, and no hierarchization of sad experiences. Many thanks and good conversations to all of us. The floor is yours. Thank you.
So I will start.
As usual.
Well, I promise he asked me to start 1 minute ago.
I can play the victim too.
So, what we do is we use personal stories of transformation to tell our stories, and it helps us personally and as a group to believe that a change is possible because we have changed. And yeah, to give us some hope to continue in these tough times. So my story started 33 years ago. I was born in a small village in between Tel Aviv and Haifa, for those who know the geographical map of Palestine, Israel. And this community is a Jewish-only community. You don't have any Palestinian live there, like most of the Israeli communities, settlements that were established since the Zionist movement started to immigrate and to build this project. So I was raised in this small village. I had basically everything. It was really safe. I didn't see violence on a daily basis. I had everything that I needed. And I can say my political awareness started to create when I used to hear like news about terrorist attacks, buses being bombed. And I remember myself as a child, I was really afraid to go on buses. And every time I drive the bus, when I heard Arabic, I went down off the bus because I was afraid it might bomb. And then I didn't really know Palestinians. Normally, relationships between Israelis and Palestinians don't exist except to work relationships. So my father used to fix his car at the neighbor Palestinian village, Tire. We had 2 women, they used to clean our house. So there is some, I would say, similarity to colonial relationships, that the Palestinians work for the Jews. And yeah, I didn't have Palestinian friends because schools are segregated. We don't go to schools together. And this system of segregation is building in at the Israelis this fear from a really young age because we don't know each other. We don't see Palestinians. We just hear about them in the news that they don't want us here. They are willing to kill themselves to kill us, and these other stories. So, yeah, this was my childhood basically. Beautiful childhood, but I was afraid from Palestinians. When I reached the age of 17, most of Israeli kids, they go to visit the death camps in Poland. And this is like a national project. I would say Israeli government, since its establishment, put a lot of energy and effort, so the Israeli children will see this horror before they are supposed to be recruited to the army, because they want them to internalize this idea that what happened was a really disaster for our people and we don't want it to happen again. And the only one who can protect us are ourselves. We shouldn't count on anyone else. And this is the main message they want you to internalize, that only you can protect yourself, and the Israeli army is here to do this job, and we shouldn't count on anyone else because we cannot count on anyone else. And this whole system of segregation and of تخويف, they want us to be scared and to basically believe that the only way to live on this land, which is our homeland, we were born there, is by military force. So at the age of 18, I got this call to be recruited to the army, like all of my friends. And another thing that is really important to understand, that everyone around you is being recruited. No one refused, at least in my environment. I didn't know anyone that decided to refuse. My father went to the army, all my uncles, and it's really like normal. And the unnormal is to refuse. So if you refuse, you are being accused to be a traitor, to be this one who is not willing to give to the community, is just taking all the time. And why should we like protect you if you are not willing to be part of this? And you really get this this conviction that if you will refuse, you will be outed, like they will kick you from the community. You will not be part anymore. Another thing is that the universities and the workplaces in Israel, they are really care and really interested to know what you did in the army service. And I can say 100% that being accepted to medical school was easier for me because I served in a good place in the army. So they appreciate you and they want you to be in medical schools, in good workplaces, etc. So all these together made me to take the decision that I want to go to the army, and this is what I did. And I can say, actually, when I look back, I think the most important or strong motive was the need for love, to feel loved by the people who you know. Like, you don't know anyone else, you want to feel that you are loved by the community you were born in. And this is the way to be loved in Israel, actually. To be part, to be willing to go and risk your life for this idea that the army is the most moral thing ever that you can do. So at the age of 18, I was recruited to pilot course. I served there 1 year. And after 1 year, I was kicked because I didn't fly good enough. I was lucky because today, if I was continuing this process of becoming a pilot, I can find myself bombing Gaza right now and kill hundreds of innocent people. After 1 year, I was moved to another unit. This unit is mainly around getting information about other countries, Arab countries. And to my luck, I didn't fight. These were quite like peaceful years in the conflict, so I didn't fight in Gaza or in the West Bank. But one time they took our team to the West Bank, to a village called Trauer. Trauer is a village south to Bethlehem, if some here know. And there is also a new settlement, which its name is also Trauer, just next to the Palestinian village. And what we did is we basically crossed the whole village in the middle of the night, because they want, like the army want the civilians, the Palestinians, to be terrorized on a daily basis. So they so scared to even open the window to throw a stone. So they will know, like, if you do anything, we are here, we control the area. So soldiers cross the village on a daily basis just to make them fear from anything, not to dare to even raise their head from the window. So we crossed the village. It was my first time in the West Bank. I've never been there. I crossed the village, and in the middle of the village, the commander asked me and another guy to throw like sound grenades into one of the yards. There was no any reason to do it. It was like nothing, empty. And we did it. Maybe 20 minutes later, we went back to the bus, and we went back to the camp. And the other guy told me, "Hey, we shouldn't do such things." and I was like surprised from what he was saying. I agreed immediately, but I was surprised, like, wow, why didn't I even think, what am I doing? I didn't ask myself what is happening. I just did what I was told to do. Then the commander heard us speaking this conversation, and he said, hey, stop this conversation, we don't talk about it, you just follow orders. And this is how it stopped. This was the last time of me as a soldier in the West Bank. I was released after 3 years, and like many other Israelis who have the privilege to travel around the world, Palestinians, they cannot move easily. They don't have passports. They have, but not, they should ask for visas. And we Israelis, we move freely, and I traveled in the world, and I worked, and I did. And then I went back to start university, and a friend told me that he is going to meet Palestinians from the West Bank in Germany. It's like a dialogue conference project for 2 weeks. So I joined. I was curious to meet these Palestinians. I didn't know anything about them, just that they don't like me, they don't want me here, and that they're willing to kill themselves to do that. And there in Germany, it was like 11 years ago, my world was changed. My eyes were opened, and I heard about this reality that I was so close to, but I've never heard about from them. I always heard from my side about them. We Israelis, we always talk about them, but we never really listen to what they experience. So for the first time I heard about the military occupation, and I heard about the Nakba. I didn't know this word even, like Nakba, which means catastrophe in Arabic. It's the Palestinian displacement in 48 of 800,000 refugees. 500 villages were basically like destroyed. And now you have many refugees camp around Syria, Lebanon, Egypt, and about these camps I didn't know about it exists. Okay, so the first time I hear about it was in the age of 22 from Palestinians who came to Germany to tell me about it. Like, it's so crazy that I had to go to Germany to hear about it, because in Israel there is a law that forbids any talking about the Nakba. Like in school, you cannot even mention this name. Okay, so just imagine the Germans making a law that it's forbidden to talk about the Holocaust. This is reality in Israel. Okay, it's forbidden to talk about the others' catastrophe. Okay. Then, I came back, I became a peace activist, I joined this organization, demonstrations, and other meetings, and I started to get to make relationships with Palestinians, and I started to learn Arabic, and the language helped me to... Okay, so I could hear the stories in English or in Hebrew even, because many of them speak Hebrew, but I couldn't feel the emotions until I learned the language. And the emotions are really important to really feel, I believe, the pain, to really feel and be in this place of I'm just trying to acknowledge what he feels. And the language helped me a lot, and I believe that the language is maybe the thing that is missing right now, because again, Israel doesn't want the Israelis to know Arabic, because then we can speak and then we can hear about their story. So they don't teach us Arabic, only those who go to the army, so it's different way to teach Arabic. yeah, and since then, like, so I would say I have many Palestinian friends today. Many of my Israeli friends, the connection couldn't like stay because I was accused as a betrayer. I was blamed like to be a Palestinian lover. You take sides, you choose them over us. But for me, just choosing like humanity, I really don't see, like when I look at Usama, I don't see a Palestinian, I see a human being. And when I look at my Palestinian friends, I don't see Palestinians. For me, we are all one. But for Israelis, and at this time specifically, it's really difficult to see this. They live the trauma of the Holocaust. And they really feel that they might be eliminated soon. The fear today in Israeli society is something that I am not used to. The fear brings with it violence and fascism. And right now, freedom of speech in Israel is almost not exist. Like when I left, I wrote 2 posts on Facebook. So I was attacked by everyone for just posting. Like even friends from the village were attacking me. And yeah, the atmosphere today in Israel is really, really intense. I have Palestinian friends who are citizens of Israel, like 48. They were kicked from universities. They were kicked from workplaces just for posting "We support Gaza." Yesterday there was this letter that was published by a group of doctors, of Israeli doctors, that is calling to bomb the hospitals in Gaza, because under the hospitals they say Hamas, So right now the language is really toxic, and people are basically living in fear, and they blame everyone else for their fear, and they attack, and yeah, I'm trying to stay to find hope, but it's not easy. Yeah, I will let Sama continue, and maybe later questions.
Thank you, Rotem. It's not an easy topic. We always talking about this, and we know that we are kind of salmon fishes. We swim against the stream, so not everyone likes us. But we are here not to say we are here to support Palestine or to support Israel. We are here to ask the humanity to support the humanity, to support the human being, to support international law, to support justice. So my name is Usama, again. My story started from my grandparents. They were living in a small town next to Jerusalem called Lifta. And this village was destroyed by the Zionists by then in 1948 because it's the entrance to Jerusalem on the way. And my grandmother told me that she left the house and she left everything there, even the food, because they told her, you're gonna come back after a few days, just now because there is war. And they went to East Jerusalem. They lived in East Jerusalem after Lifta was gone. They lived in East Jerusalem, my whole family, until 1967. 1967, they were kicked out again to Jordan, and they were not allowed to come back. The only one who succeeded to sneak back to Palestine was my grandfather. He came back and he went to his house in Jerusalem, and that's why we still have family there. I was born in Jerusalem, and when I was 10, My father told us, because he's not living in Jerusalem, because he's working out of Jerusalem for 3 years, there is law in East Jerusalem. East Jerusalem are not citizens of Israel. They are residents according to the Israeli law. And there is one issue. If they leave Jerusalem municipality borders for more than 3 years, they could lose their residency. And this law only for Arabs. This is democracy, by the way. So he lost his ID. We moved to Jericho. By then I had no knowledge about the conflict more than my grandmother's stories about the Jews. The Jews came and the Jews killed our people, and the Jews rape and destroyed and kill and massacre all these dogs. And I was so afraid of these people. Who are the Jewish people? When I went to Jericho, it was the first intifada. Front of my school, I saw a jeep of 3 soldiers. They jumped off of the jeep, and one of them started to talk to me. I was really terrified. I don't know his language and what he wants from me. He's full armed and I'm just a boy. Then they took my backpack and opened it and threw everything on the floor. They were looking for stones, as I understood. I went back home and I asked my mom again about the soldiers, and she called them again. And that's maybe one of our problems. We have to understand the difference between Judaism and occupation. But people still call it Jews because Israel, according to the word, represent the Jewish people or the Jewish country. So I grew up with this image of the soldiers, full armed soldiers, the people who massacred and killed my people all of these years. That's the only Jews. When I was 14, after they closed my school, soldiers used to walk between the houses, like every day, 6 soldiers from this side, and enter, knock the houses one by one, enter to the house. If they find anyone more than 16 years old, they could beat or arrest or do whatever. If not, they could break the house and leave, or sometimes they don't do anything. It's up to them. So they entered to our house, and I saw them holding 2 18-year-old soldiers, holding the hero of my life, my father, the one who's supposed to protect my life and protect me, is beaten in front of my eyes, in front of my sisters, by something called Jews. That's where I understood who is my enemy. That's where I started to think Jewish people are my enemies. And after a few days, I decided to resist. But I was 13. How to resist? What kind of resistance can I do? So I started to collect with my friends some money, and we bought like spray brush, spray color, and we went outside at 2 a.m. because it's very dangerous to jump to the neighborhood and write a graffiti on the wall, "Free Palestine." And that was like, wow, I felt like I have done a big thing in my life. And we went back and we buried this spray can, because if they find it, it's gonna be a disaster. Especially my father. And and I saw it. It was really amazing. It was amazing to see the soldiers coming and standing and bringing colors and calling people, and like I bothered them. I felt like I did something. Then I decided to do a bigger crime, And so I decided to, with my sister, she helped me to steal some of the old shirts and to cut it and to sew it and to build a Palestinian flag. Not because I was fighting for Palestine. I didn't know where Palestine exists by then, but I was fighting against this soldier who represents power, who's not speaking my language, occupying my life, controlling my life, beating my father, my teacher. No matter what is his religion, I'm gonna fight him. So we made the flag, and I went and I hung this flag in the neighborhood in one of the big trees, and it was amazing. And then we made a bigger flag, and then I was arrested. I was arrested and they didn't find law to put me in jail because I was 14, because I didn't do any crime, because there is nothing against the law. But even if there is nothing against the law, there is another law that Israel had taken from the British government, you know, that was used against the Zionists by then. It's called the military law, or the administrative detention. It means that the Palestinian commander can take any Palestinian, the Israeli commander. Okay, makes it the same, you know, we live in the same land. So the Israeli commander can take any Palestinian human, kidnap him or her from their home to jail from 1 day up to 3 years without going to court, without trial, without lawyer. And of course they can renew it if they want. Like I know someone, after 3 years they allowed him to go back home. 2 days after they arrested him, another 3 years, because that's how the law works. After 3 years you can't keep him. And this is kidnapping people according to the international law. To put people in jail up to 3 years or 4 or 5, this is actually kidnapping people. But the international law doesn't work sometimes, or most of the times, depends which direction. So yeah, so I went to jail, and I think by the entrance of the jail I lost the child in me. I lost my childhood. I went in and I learned how to be violent, how to be tough. Not only with the Israeli soldiers, also with the Palestinians who are living there. And we are not angels, we are a group of men or teenagers in the middle of nowhere with a lot of arms around us. And I suppose they told me you're gonna stay 6 months here. And I was like crying overnight. I want to go back to my mom. What am I going to do here? This is not my place. I miss my basketball. I miss my school. I miss my teachers. I miss my life. Yeah. But somehow they kept me 9 months instead of 6 months for putting a Palestinian flag inside the Palestinian land. I went out and I was full of hate. I learned everything bad about Israelis in jail, actually. And I went out with a lot of hate, and I started to throw stones, and I started to learn how to do more resistance and more violence. And then I heard about Oslo Agreement. I joined the Palestinian police. I wanted to have weapon and to be strong, and I did all the trainings, and I was sniper, and I was amazing. But guess what? The weapon didn't help me to do anything, to change anything. In 1996, my friends were killed next to me while I was carrying weapon. In small revolution was happening by then called the like the tunnels under the old city of Jerusalem, when Israel opened the tunnels. And yeah, in the Palestinian police, my friends were killed in front of me. We went to prevent Palestinians of reaching one of the settlements, and the soldiers saw us and they shot at us, and I saw my friend dying, and I was mad at the Palestinian Authority, and I wanted to take revenge, actually. And because of the peace rules and the peace agreement, they did not allow me, so I couldn't do any revenge until the 2000 second intifada started, and I was in an internet cafe, and I just heard noise outside. Then people came in and they start shooting everyone moving, and these people are all covered, just we can't see their eyes. And somehow I succeeded not to die, and I didn't know what happened there. And they took us, and they somewhere with all of the dogs around us. I couldn't know where we were or what they did. In the end, after like 10 hours, they throw us away in the street. And we opened our eyes, we took off blindfolds, and we find ourselves in the middle of the desert next to Jericho. We went back home, and then I decided that I am a target. They are killing me. If I'm sitting at my home, it's not about who's fighting and who's not. As long as you don't accept the Israeli occupation, if you don't accept the Israeli rules as it is, they can take your house, they can take your lands, they can control your life, they can prevent your kids to have water, they can prevent your movement. They keep passing or stepping on the international law every single day. Every settlement is against the international law. Every minute Israel exists in West Bank and Gaza is against the international law. Every human being arrested in the Israeli jails, administrative prisoner or normal prisoner, is against the international law. But there is international law. And and I wanted to fight and fight again. That was my way until 2007. I don't want to enter to discussion to details of fighting, just no one's recording. So I tried to fight all the ways I can until 2010. I was in Bethlehem somehow, and one of my friends offered me a ride back to Jericho. I said, okay, let's go because it's snowing and it's cold. He said, yeah, but we have to eat dinner in one of the restaurants somewhere, and it's even farther in Bet Jala, and we're going back. I went there, and the first minute I went to this place, I saw Israelis sitting around. And I went back and I said, Ahmad, this is not our place. And he said, of course it's our place. I said, there is someone with yarmulke. It means there are Jews here. He said, yeah, of course they are Jews. They are our friends. I said, are you insane? What are you talking with them about? He said, we are talking about peace. Peace? Man, they killed their own prime minister because he signed for peace. What kind of peace you are talking about? Since we signed peace, our land has been taken piece by piece. Yeah. And he said, okay, no, man, there are some Israelis who believe in this peace and believe in equality. And I went and I find some of them do really believe and some of them do really don't agree with what's going on with the occupation. They are minority, but they exist. And since then, I decided to keep digging until I find another good Jews here and there. And I succeeded to learn Hebrew, and I created a group called Visit Palestine to bring Israelis to show them what is occupation. I'm not fighting against your Judaism. I don't have any problem with what side you pray or what side you came from. I have problem with your occupation, with your military rules, with the equality, with the Israeli. For example, my great-grandfather was born in that land, and my father and me and my son and my grandson will be born there. And one American Jewish who just was born in New York 2 years ago has more rights on the land than me and my kids and my future, just because of the race. And don't dare to call it racist state. And if you are Palestinian in West Bank, you are under military rules and you have to be silent. Even if you ask for peace, you are not reaching peace. More and more settlements. If you are Palestinian in Gaza, you are already terrorist and you should be killed. If you are Israeli Arab, if you are Palestinian, live in Israel and you have citizenship and you serve in the army, you still have something called the nation law, to make you feel this. You can't be equal with any Jewish who live around the world, and they wanted me to accept this, and so I started to bring Israelis and to show them, come on. Jericho, or the area of Jericho. Jericho is the oldest city in the world. It's 12,000 years old. Jericho, Jesus was baptized there. Jesus fasted there. It has a long history. And they called the junction to Jericho Almog Junction because they built a small settlement called Almog next to Jericho. That's how it works over there. So to show them how the occupation is really endangering our life. It's not about Judaism. Occupation has nothing to do with Judaism, and being against occupation has nothing to do with anti-Semitism. So I started to explain to them that Jericho land is something like Gaza, but we are controlling only 16%. Yani Jordan Valley, we are controlling 16% and Israel control 84% of Jordan Valley. There is 11,000 settlers there. Now, recently, there are 11,000 and 65,000 Palestinians. Imagine 60,005 Palestinians use 20% of their water, their own water, because Israel is taking 80%, and this is not my study. This you can go and search and Google, and the internet can show us everything, and there is German organizations, and there is American organizations, and there are Israeli organizations can show you everything. Actually, don't believe what I'm saying, search. I want you to search and to find the new things. Yeah, and from there I joined Combatants for Peace, and I think, as Rotem said, we think there is no military solution to this occupation. We think our way is the way. What we are doing, actually, we are disturbing the system. The system wanted us to be enemies. We just decided to be friends. The system wanted us to be separated. We decided to be together. They wanted us to fight each other to keep the occupation. We decided to fight together to end the occupation. Because the occupation is not endangering Palestinians only. It's endangering everyone. And no one is free as long as we are all not free. And that's where I want to start and end my talk. Thank you.
So we'll start. Maybe wife. As questions, yeah, feel free to ask us whatever. We'll do our best.
Yes, again, feel free.
Yeah.
Yes. Please feel free to ask us questions about us, about our work, about our activities, about our situation. Because if someone gonna ask me how many wives Hamas leader has, I don't understand and I don't know, and this is not my business. Let's stay in the topic. Thank you. What? This is the first question everywhere.
Ist die Frage lang oder? Dann kann ich sie wiederholen, hier in der Mitte. You said it's forbidden to talk about Nakba in Israel? And her question is, was it always forbidden, or was there a point when it got forbidden? Because you see it everywhere.
So, I'm not sure in what year it was created, this law. I know that today in schools it's forbidden to talk about the Nakba. You mentioned that you see it everywhere. So how come? But actually, for Jewish Israelis, we don't see it. That's the thing. It's somehow, at least my age, my generation, I can say, I didn't see it. I knew that like Jaffa and Lid and these cities, they were Palestinian cities, but not more than that. I didn't hear about 500 villages. I didn't know all this information. I think today it's more known, even among young Israelis. And what is more scary even in that is that today I feel there is this hate that create them not caring about it. Like they know and don't care. I didn't know. Yeah, they don't hear about it in schools for sure because it's forbidden, but social media today, it's quite difficult to not be exposed to this. Yeah.
Just a small, yeah, just to answer, sorry if I may, it's from 2014, the law, the Nakba law, and it doesn't say you're not allowed to talk about the Nakba in Israel. It says that every publicly funded event or institution is not allowed to talk about the Nakba, which is
Different.
but different still awful in my opinion, but yeah.
Thank you. Can you just, because we're in the now time, can you say what you feel about the recent events in 7th of October? How does it meet you?
The recent event on 7th of October. It makes me feel sad. It makes me feel sad because there is a lot of human being lost their life, and as a human being I don't justify any death. And I can't stand for one side and say their death is okay and my death is forbidden. Killing a human being is not justified and not accepted in my opinion, in my life. But I was expecting it, and everyone should expect it, what happened there. What happened in the 7th of November didn't start in the 7th of November and didn't start by Hamas. The thing is, we have a lot of media talk about this because this time the strong side was hurt, which is not accepted in my eyes to hurt civilians and to hurt people, but that's why. Every few years there is war in Gaza and 3,000, 2,000 people get killed in Gaza, yeah? In West Bank we don't have Hamas. We don't have Hamas. We don't have muscles. We have Abbas. You know? We don't have Hamas. We have Abbas. And nothing is working, not Hamas and not Abbas. As I said, if you resist as Hamas, you will be a terrorist and you against the international law, and you should be massacred and bombed with your family, with your kids, with your cats, with your donkeys, because they are all terrorists. That's how the international law see us. And if you go with Abbas, you're gonna keep negotiating for negotiations for building more settlements and stopping one checkpoint, and you will never reach your homeland. Even if you accept the international law, they don't accept it, and there is no international law working there. So what happened is Israelis are killing us slowly every single day. In West Bank in 2022, 350 Palestinians, mostly kids under the age 17, were killed in West Bank. Yeah. So the excuse is if Hamas doesn't exist, Israel want to enter to our cities illegally against the international law and arrest and kill anyone they want. And if we throw stone back, we became terrorists. Yeah. So I didn't accept, and I don't accept, and I don't accept also the international community silent of the biggest crime in the century happening now. 10,000 people, mostly kids, get buried and killed. You know, the American White House speakers, I used to hear them when the Ukrainians had, oh, they don't have Putin. He cut the electricity. He cut the water. He was crying. Yes, I'm against this. By why here it works and the other side it doesn't work? They are not a human in Gaza. People are massacred. They are not Hamas. The kid 5 years old didn't vote for Hamas, I swear to God. None of these kids voted to Hamas. No, their moms voted to Hamas. Yeah, this is collective punishment and war crime, even if it's happening because of something. You can't, if someone shoot at your side, you can shoot at his side, but don't kill all his family because he shoot at you. I condemn all violence. It's coming from Hamas or Abbas or the biggest democracy in the world that send missiles to kill us and use veto. The same veto was used to kill Syrian by Russia, that is used today to kill Gazan by Israel. It's the same veto. It's the biggest people who who control the world are controlling it according to them, not according to the international law, not according to the humanitarian law, not according to human needs. If Israel spent as much as they spent in the last war, you know how much money they spent in the last war? The bombs was bigger than Hiroshima and Nagasaki, 15 tons. If they spent this amount of money to support Gaza, Gaza will be Paris. Gaza will be better than Europe. Gaza will not fight. The thing is, you want to keep people in jail for more than 17 years. Every few years, go inside, bomb them, kill them. If they go to the sea, you kill them. If they go to the borders, you shoot them. If they work for $4 a day. $4 a day. I want to buy cappuccino here. It costs $5 or euro. €5 for a human being work from the morning to the evening to feed his big family. People explode. And people didn't accept it, and they're gonna keep fighting. And if you are in Gaza, you're gonna fight. And if everyone here lived the same situation in Gaza, will fight the same way. And as Mandela said, I didn't say this, when people are occupied, resistance is justified. Thank you.
I have a question. What you mentioned before, how you grew up not knowing what is on the other side, the history and all of that. Now with social media, things are changing. So what do you think about the new generation? Are they aware? Is there hope for a new, like even politics, to see more politics that it's looking for solutions rather than looking for fights and conflicts the whole time?
Well, I don't know. I really don't know. Social media, yeah, it brings a lot of information, but at the same time it polarizes. Because you see what you want to see. And these two narratives, they are there on social media, full power. And yeah, I believe people are hearing more about the other narrative, but it doesn't make them necessarily feel the other narrative. And what is missing is this feeling of solidarity, of, I would say, friendship, to see people in the eyes, to look at them. When you read about something in the social media that is mostly accusing you for being something, like for being a colonizer, for being an occupier, perpetrator, immediately you are being closed to the suffering of the other. So for me, what helped me was the fact that I met them face to face, and I had 2 weeks actually to listen. And of course, not every Israeli that will go to such a dialogue project will come out the way I came out. But social media doesn't necessarily help in this situation. I feel like the new generation, maybe they know more information, they're not necessarily more compassionate. But again, I don't know, I don't really know many young Israelis today, but I know that right now the language that is being used is toxic, that nothing, it wasn't like this. It changed in the last months dramatically. Everyone is calling for revenge, it's accepted. It's really scary actually.
Let me first say that I fully appreciate your courage in your presentations. I would like to ask you about your future perspectives and outlook. I'll give you one example. in 6 months, the Netanyahu government will be off the scene. There will be another government. It's just, fantasy. A new government will free Marwan Barghouti from Israeli prison to replace Abbas as the administrator of the West Bank. What is your concrete idea of what should happen now and in 6 and in 12 months? This is not my own idea. It was no. It's ventilated by Danny Cohn-Bennett in an interview in the Spiegel.
Wow. So first of all, I wish and I hope this in 6 months will end and something will change, even though the Israelis, the people misunderstand us. Guys, we are not living under occupation since Netanyahu came to the government. We are living under occupation since 75 years. The problem is not Netanyahu and not his government. Even though now we have Ben Gvir, the settler who was holding the picture of Baruch Goldstein, who killed Palestinians inside the mosque, in the middle of his house. We have Smotrich, the one who is going out and say there is nothing called Palestinian nation. Palestinians doesn't exist. There is a lot of voices, but it doesn't mean that the occupation started there and not Netanyahu government is the problem. The problem is the world is not watching. The problem is Israel beyond the international law. The problem is we decided in the UN 242, 338, there is a lot of international decisions in the UN that the 67 lands are occupied lands. Israel shouldn't build borders. Israel shouldn't build settlements. Israel shouldn't control it. Israel should go out. And they are not listening. They are not listening. They keep building settlements. They attack ambassadors in front of me in the occupied land. They attack international people. They don't care. They think they are beyond the international law, and they are. And if the international law suddenly works, there is veto. Yeah, America used veto 80 times, 81 now, 80 times to protect Israel from international decisions, not from Hamas. Yeah, that's the problem. The problem is the world is not interested in putting rules. The rules, Hamas should follow the rules, Saddam should follow the rules, Libya should follow the rules, but Israel, no. They shouldn't follow the rules, and the whole world is supporting them. Weapons, everything. And in the end of the day, they will say, oh, we support the peace organizations. We supported Combatants for Peace by giving them 5 caravans from the German government. Thank you. But you allowed the soldiers to come and take the 5 caravans and arrest another 5 peace activists, and you didn't complain, and you didn't say anything. It's your caravans. It's carrying your flag. It's carrying your message. It's a humanitarian message, and it's legal. And it's not working. So, again, I don't think the end of Netanyahu government will do anything. I need people to stand for justice. Same way we stand for justice everywhere in this world. I'm not asking more than justice for the Palestinians. I'm not asking, yalla, let's kick them to the sea. Yeah? Justice and equality. That's the basic thing that a human being can ask for his future, for their future. For their future. Don't think they're going to be safe as long as we are not free. And we will not be free as long as they are not safe. So the only way is to save the future of both of us. Otherwise, we're going to stay in this conflict, and actually Israel is endangering the name of the Jewish people. I was in Berlin with my Israeli friends. They were afraid to speak Hebrew in Berlin because Israel is showing the world only bad image about Judaism. After a long time of hating the Jewish people, I succeeded to meet the Jewish people who showed me Judaism different way. That's not Zionism. There is a big difference between the two things. And they are just giving bad name to the Jewish people. They are creating more and more hate. And I promise you, we are living in the Arab world. It's not the issue of Palestine. Yeah, Israel is living in the middle of the Arab world between Lebanon and Egypt, and they still think they are living in Europe. No, it's not Europe. It's Lebanon and Egypt, and you have to be part of these people, or you can't be always stranger body between all these countries living in a security cage. Because security cages cost a lot of money and it doesn't work. They break it with bicycles. The biggest wall, yeah? They break it with bicycles. 8 hours, they went in and out, no one stopped them. Where is the whole money that you spend in security? Let's spend this amount of money in making peace and making life of people better. And I expect from the German government, from the German people, not to stand for me, please, for God's sake. How he can sleep while you are sending rockets and kids are burned and they lose all of their bodies. There are beasts all around, and it's happening in your name, and we are silent. And this happened to the Ukrainians, and we were silent, and this happening to another people, and we all silent. And then we are talking about dogs' rights and feminism, and we don't stand for the feminists, for the women in Palestine when they took off their hijab in the middle of the old city of Jerusalem and Hebron. Then feminism is not loud. When someone in Iran is doing something, feminism which is, I support feminism and I support all the rights of all the people, but I want these rights to work for everyone the same way, not work in one side and doesn't work in the other side, only according to your color or race. Yeah, this conflict will never be solved as long as there is no international community pressure, the same like in South Africa with the apartheid. The German government still don't want us to mention the word apartheid. If you come to Palestine and you see our situation and you have another name for this thing, I will appreciate it. If I call it apartheid, I am making it small, to be honest. Thank you.
Ratem?
Your dream.
Sorry?
Marwan Barghouti. One
Sorry,
second.
Do you want to add something, Ratem, to the question before? Or is it fine? Okay. So, next question.
So, again, if Marwan Barghouti come out and this government change, nothing will happen because there is facts are building. There is 600,000 settlers moved from Israel to West Bank, and they are controlling all of it. There is no two-state solution. It's dead. We need to find something else.
Okay, just one more sentence. We are not here to give and to propose political solutions. We are here to say how to solve it on a grassroots level, like how we solved it between us, how we solved the conflict between us, okay? We are not political persons. Yeah, so I think it's not that relevant right now. Maybe let's focus on like what we do.
Don't listen to him. It's very relevant. You know, I'm in Germany. I just want to control a little bit. Let me feel the strong side. So yeah, I think we Palestinians, what I want to say, we Palestinians with our leaders, from Abbas to the smallest one, we are ready. We are ready and still ready to accept Oslo Agreement and the international law. Until today, most of us, some people don't agree, some people do agree, we are ready to accept it. But a real peace agreement, and not the same way Israel is controlling our life and they are calling us a country. We are not a country, we are smaller than municipality.
Actually, I want to add one more thing. For me, the solution, it has to be a solution that allows us to live together. So separation walls, separation to different states who cannot come together, cannot see each other, cannot meet, it will not solve it because people will still be afraid of each other. So we have to find a way to desegregate this land, to make people go to the same schools, spend time at the same places so they get to know each other. And for sure, equality and justice is the basic things. Yeah.
but it's working again. Go ahead.
Thank you so much. I was just wondering, since we're in a kind of German context, how has, in both your individual experience, how do you feel that German Holocaust remembrance culture informs a kind of German societal perception of recent events?
Can you repeat it again?
Yeah, sorry. I was just wondering, considering that German Holocaust remembrance culture is quite important in German culture, I was just wondering how both of you perceive it to have influenced how Germany as a country and German society kind of understands recent events, or whether that causes any bias, or what are your opinions on this?
Personally, like, I'm quite new to German politics and culture. For my experience from the last 2 weeks, 3 weeks and conversations, it's present for sure. The guilt is there, and the freedom of speech is not 100% there. Freedom to demonstrate. And the biggest problem is that they try to make Israel and Zionism the representation of the Jews. And this is basically what Israel is trying to do. It's trying to create this idea that Israel represents the Jews worldwide. And this way they can, at least they try to, create this notion that anti-Semitism is anti-Israel. And this is a huge problem. This feeds the Zionist mind that everyone is trying to kill us and they are all anti-Semitic. BDS is anti-Semitic. Anyone is saying anything about Israel is anti-Semitic. And I think it's really important that in Germany we will make the separation between anti-Semitism and anti-occupation, anti-Israeli policies of apartheid, because we just, by not talking about it, we play to the Israeli hands and we basically say, it's not allowed to speak about it because it's taboo. It's taboo, and we as Germans are not allowed to speak anything because we did it to you, so nobody in Germany will speak about it because it's our guilt and it's our story, and you live here as, I don't know, immigrant, so don't speak about it because this is the laws here. But actually it's super relevant to speak about it because we have to put pressure on Israel. If we'll not put pressure on Israel to stop these policies of apartheid, of occupation, they will not do it. The West, who sells weapons to Israel, has to, again, we are not the government, we are the people, so go demonstrations and ask the governments to stop sell weapons, because traumatized people, they don't need weapons. Okay? They need other things that for sure if you give them weapons they will use them because they are traumatized, they are scared, and they don't see any other way. So again, it's complicated. I'm not here to say what's the solution, but for sure I don't support using violence, and I'm not going to use violence as an individual. And I believe that if gradually we'll show the other side that we want to live with them and not ethnic cleanse them, I think the level of violence will go down. And it, of course, it's a process and it might take a lot of years, but I believe that when you give hope to someone, he will not choose violence. And you can see it with the Palestinians who are citizens of Israel. They are not joining right now the fight because I believe in some degree they believe that they can live with the Israelis together, even if they agree that it's not equal state and there is apartheid even inside Israel. In 48 it's apartheid. They believe that they can live with the Jews. So this is why they don't go and attack now. Okay? So once you give people hope, they will not choose violence. At least that's my belief.
I'm so sorry again that she was first. Oh, okay, it was the same question, so it's up to you. No, you can go ahead. No, he's first, and then it's up to you.
So, first of all, thank you to both of you also for being here, and also for your honesty. You can really tell like how you're really sharing honestly. You said that people need hope to kind of change their behavior, and we also see this now, where like so many Palestinians are all of a sudden want to free all of Palestine. Once there's all this like killing by Israelis, and we've seen it on both sides, and all the times in history when we were close to some sort of what we would call a peace, like an unfair agreement that both sides can somehow swallow, the borders were kind of solvable. And even like in your website, you write about the 67 borders, which are very close to being solved. The millions of refugees were kind of the biggest elephant in the room that nobody could think of a solution for. And they always left this very vague language of even the initiative of the Arab countries left it very, very vague. And I know you don't represent anyone apart from yourselves, but I'm curious, from conversations you've had or your personal opinions, what could be any sort of viable solution around the 5 to 10 million, 12 million Palestinian refugees that you think both sides could somehow swallow? If you have any thoughts on it.
Thank you. First of all, I want to just clarify who are the Palestinian refugees you're talking about. There are 5 kinds of Palestinian refugees. Let's study them together again. There are some Palestinian refugees who left their villages to Haifa, to Jaffa, to the big cities, and now they are holding Israeli citizenship, but they are not allowed to go back to their home, to their lands, because there is kibbutz or there is another people come to take their land, even though. And there are some refugees who are from Lifta, for example, are in East Jerusalem, who have Israeli residency and not citizenship. And refugees inside West Bank and inside Jerusalem. And refugees all around the world. So refugees are everywhere. And when we are talking about solutions, the first word we say, equality and justice to everyone. Yeah. So if you believe all the Jewish people in the world have the right to come back to the homeland, even though they don't speak Arabic, and my Hebrew is better than theirs, they have all the right to come back to live there. Why not the Palestinian? Why the one who just left 2,000 years have the right to come back, and the one who left 75 years don't have the right to come back? And there is enough land. There is enough land to everyone. Same like the Israelis are going to Eritrea and Ethiopia and the smallest villages in the middle of Africa to find the Jewish people over there. They are in Jordan. The people are living there. They can see the mountains and they are not allowed to pass. So when we are talking about equality and justice, everyone should have the choice to come back or not to come back. And that's according to the international law. If we want to find other solutions, and talk about 2-state solutions and 3-state solutions, yeah, we can give Ma'ali Adumim and Aragel and all the settlements to the refugees, yeah, and have them in West Bank in our own country, for example. And that's another solution. There is a lot of solutions. The thing we have to commit to the solutions. The thing we need leaders, international leaders, to commit to the solutions, to put pressure on the other leaders to do the solutions. And not everyone has his own interest and his own story. That's the thing. If we succeeded if the international community want to make peace with Israelis and Palestinians and make pressure on the leaders in equal way, right way, they will make it. Israel can't keep acting against all the international laws and keep being protected. This way they will never listen to you and never listen to me and never listen to any peace agreements. Since when I was in Jericho, when we signed in 1994, when they signed Oslo Agreement, I was young and I was going to the street. People celebrated 24/7 in the streets. A lot of journalists, it was Gaza, Jericho first, a lot of journalists, a lot of people were sleeping in the streets celebrating the peace agreement and the peace process. So there are people and they want this to happen and there is solutions. The thing is, again, you can't negotiate with someone who says what mine is mine and what yours is negotiable. And that's our problem.
Yeah, I would like first to thank both of you for your courage. And I would like to tell Osama, like as a Palestinian being here in Germany, I would like to tell you that if you say this in public, you might lose your job, you might get also deported back to Palestine. So the situation here in Germany is very, very difficult for Palestinian activists. And I would like to know your position as a group which believes in nonviolent resistance. What's your position to BDS, the boycotting campaign of the civil Palestinian society against Israel? And what do you think about the German parliament saying that BDS is anti-Semitic? And they silence Palestinian activists here in Germany when they talk about BDS and the importance of boycotting Israel. And what do you think in general of this anti-Palestinian sentiment here in Germany, where they are banning demonstration, threatening Palestinian activists of losing their residency, losing their jobs? Like literally, I know people who lost their job just for talking about Palestine and talking about the occupation. So yeah, it's a loaded question. Yeah, I would like to have an answer from you. From both of you, for sure, but you as a Palestinian also.
So in general, for me, any non-violent resistance to the occupation is relevant, and it will help, I believe, to put pressure in any way that is possible. Because as I said, Israel, I don't believe that it will change its manners just from a self-decision. We need external forces to put pressure on it, and any non-violent force, for me, it's relevant. I have two problems with the BDS. One, they also boycott us just for being together. So for them, any collaboration between Palestinians and Israel is not allowed, even like non-Zionist Israelis. And the second is that my Palestinian friends in 48, the Israeli citizens, they are being attacked a lot by BDS. And I believe the policies they use are not efficient 100%. But in general, I believe non-violent resistance is legitimate and
yeah. So I will say the same. We first of all we have BDS. We never attacked BDS, and we think it's a peaceful resistance way to boycott the products of other country, and that is happening everywhere. You know, in South Africa, the black people boycott the same way, and it was blessed and honored and accepted by the international law. The Jewish people themselves, after the Second World War, they boycott the German cars. They didn't buy anything from Germany. Yeah, and it was legal and it was okay. So if I boycott to resist, yani if you don't want me to throw stones, And if you don't want me to throw rockets, and if you don't want me to boycott, please go to ask the Israelis which way is more comfortable for them to resist. Please. Yeah, I am confused a little bit. If we use violence, we are terrorists. If you use non-violence, you are anti-Semitic. If you use what kind of way we can resist? And I want to remind us that we are the ones under occupation. It's not two sides on conflict. There is one side occupying the other side. And this side has airplanes, helicopters, M16, nuclear weapons. It's not the other side. And there is one side, even though I refuse violence, but there is one side fighting for their freedom. And the other side is fighting to keep 3 to 5 million people under the arms and the military rules, and that's not fair.
And what do you think about the German government and the German parliament cracking on Palestinian activism? Yeah, thank you.
So, for me, I think, as I said before, if you stand all the way with Palestinians, if you go all the way pro-Palestine, you are not balancing the situation. If you all the way pro-Israel, you are adding to the fire. The thing is, we are asking the German and the American and all the governments in the world, I don't want to keep saying it, just to be pro the rules that was written in Geneva, the rules that was written for human being, yeah, and commit these rules everywhere in this world, include Israel, Palestine. Yani the minute I live with Rotem, the same situation, I have the same salary, and we have the same house, and we have the same rights, I won't fight with him. But as long as your father, giving your brother more than you, you will hate your father. And that's what the Germans are doing actually now. They are creating in the Palestinian community, they are creating the picture of, listen, don't listen to the Eastern world anymore. They always come to lecture us about human rights, about the women's rights, about kid rights, and now they are sending weapons to kill us. We don't want to see them, we don't want to talk to them, they don't want their money. And the Germans always say, oh, but we send money to the Palestinian Authority. Yes, you send money to the Palestinian Authority, Israel destroy all this money, and for God's sake, keep your money for you. We Palestinians are not asking anyone for money. We don't need your fish, keep it. We are asking for our freedom to go get our fish by our own hands. We can do it, and we deserve. Shukran.
I would like to ask you two things. First, Osama was your name. I'm sorry I came a little bit late. So, you said that the Nakba is not taught in Israel. Is the Shoah taught in Palestine? This would be one question. I'm not yet ready. Finished, sorry. Second thing, Israel has gave up the Gaza Strip since 2005. Millions of dollars were sent to the Gaza Strip. Under Gaza is a whole city of concrete with tunnels. I've seen today I don't know which Arab TV it was, where they made a feature about the people of the Hamas, the Al-Aqsa brigades, which train, and they were determined to continue the fighting till they liberate whole Palestine from the sea till the Jordan. Well, it is part of the Palestinian narrative, at least in the Gaza Strip. I don't know how it is in the West Bank. Now, my question is, if Israel is not since 2005 in Gaza. They've given up everything. There were settlements there. They've left everything there. It was destroyed by the Palestinians and by the Palestinian government. And another thing is that 2008, I think, were the elections in Gaza, where Hamas became the government of Gaza, and the Fatah had to run away to Israel in order to survive, because they were killed by their own people. So my question is simply, who has the responsibility? I mean, that Israel gives, has agreements and gives electricity and lets goods come into Gaza, if we are talking about Gaza, yeah? It's a certain agreement which the Israeli government and the Hamas had with each other, but they have a second border to Egypt. Why was this border closed so long? So I have this question simply to you.
Very good questions. So what was the first one?
The first one had to do with
if we teach
the
Holocaust,
Shoah.
if we teach Holocaust in our, you hear me? Yeah. So thank you very much. My answer to you will be that I'm sorry, we are not the one who have done the Holocaust. To teach about it. It's not our thing. This is your narrative. No. We don't teach about Holocaust because we have nothing to do with Holocaust. Holocaust is not part of our history as a Palestinians. Yeah? And we do listen, teach a little bit about it, but it's not part of our narrative. But the thing here is our conflict is about narratives. Yeah? We are fighting over who's more victim than the other and who has the right narrative. The narrative of Israelis, they were there 2,000 years ago. They came, they have the right to build a country in our country, whatever. We don't teach about this, and no one taught me about Nakba, by the way. You know, only my grandmother, because it was forbidden in my school when Israel was control everything to talk about Nakba. The second thing is why the borders were close to Egypt. That was the question, or what was the question? When Hamas won the elections, they killed each other. That's how I heard. It's a lot of questions. I don't understand it. Yeah, it is complex. So you said why Hamas, when they won the elections in 2006, Hamas won the elections, not 2008. Yes, it was elections. Hamas won the elections like everyone in the world. But the international community didn't understand and don't accept, because the choice of the Palestinian people is not accepted. Now when Israel elect all the settlers, it was election. What can we do? That's a democratic state. But when we elect Hamas, no one accepted Hamas. They boycott the money. They boycott the aid. The Germans and the Americans and everyone stopped everything. They could have dealt with Hamas and make it political movement, but they refused. They boycott Hamas and the Palestinian Authority also boycott Hamas, and Hamas defended sometimes because they wanted to have more rights and they didn't have the rights. It was a Palestinian conflict that has nothing to do with the occupation. The second thing is Israel left Gaza, and since they left Gaza because they were asking for peace. I'm really sure about this. They left Gaza because they were kidnapping soldiers from underground and above the ground and everywhere, because Gaza cost them a lot of lose, because unfortunately Israel is showing the world that from South Lebanon by the rockets of Hezbollah we went out, in Gaza by the rockets of Hamas. We went out by peace negotiations. We are building more and more settlements and not willing to change anything. Unfortunately, they are making my voice weak because we have been negotiating small things, not to give us to liberate Palestine and not to give us the Aqsa Mosque back. Anata is a village next to Jerusalem. Just give us the control. There is a lot of drug dealers and people don't listen to the law. And they are living in Area C. And we are not allowed to go to Area C because Area C became a criminal center for the Palestinian criminals who are going to these areas, which is under Israeli control. And the Palestinians are not allowed to go there. And Israel don't give a damn about it. So it makes us criminals between each other. And what right Israel have to stay in Gaza or in the West Bank? And what right they have? They are not giving us, making favor to us to leave Gaza. If we sit silent and we don't resist, leave Gaza, you know? Like someone, I'm sorry to say that, but someone is raping someone for 75 years, and if she shouts, you called her terrorist. You're not allowed. Of course, we have the right to resist. Everyone in this world resist. And about the tunnels in under Gaza, again, I don't think violence will solve the solution. Not the Israeli airplanes or Hamas rockets, but just I see how the world is seeing things different. About the tunnels around under Gaza, it happened in Vietnam before. Yeah? It happens in Vietnam before. The Vietnamese people fight it from underground. And when people don't have the power, when people are hit by airplanes, when they are killed and buried, they will find ways. I'm not supporting it. I'm not against it. I am telling you why people have to dig underground, because they are not safe and because they think they want to fight. Vietnamese fight from tunnels. The Jewish people fight it from tunnels, by the way, here in Europe, if you forget. Thank you.
I'm sorry, no, but it's not going to be a discussion. I'm sorry. No, because there are so many questions. I can't.
From the river to the sea, again, from the river to the sea. Yeah,
last
that's the last question. When people are genocide and angry and mad, of course they're going to say from the river to the sea. The same Israelis who were with me, who were demonstrating with me against the occupation, for example, now peace activists, Israeli peace activists are saying, no, it's all our land from the river to the sea. Unfortunately, everyone can say from the river to the sea, to there, there's something exists and something in our dream. If we change the situation of the people from the river to the sea, everyone should be free. And that's how we can live and that's how we can succeed. Otherwise, no other solutions. Everyone should be free.
Thank you. There are lots of questions, and I lost the overmind. I don't know. I look at my colleagues. Do you know who's next? It's really lots of questions there, everywhere. Okay.
To me?
Yeah.
Oh, thank you very much. I just wanted to ask a question to your organization. Like specifically, what are you practically doing in Israel-Palestine to promote peace, and what would you say, what of your projects have worked well, and you would say, yeah, that would be something that has a future that could improve the situation and the relations between the groups?
I will just add one or two sentences about the last question. I believe learning about the other trauma is really important, because we are talking about healing. This is what is necessary here, and if you want to heal, you have to understand the other trauma and to give it space. So this is one. Two, second, I believe the solution has to include equality and justice from the river to the sea, okay, for everyone. So for me, calling from the river to the sea is not pro-Palestine, pro-Israel, it's just pro-human rights, pro-everyone. And we can be like a bit more sophisticated about from the river to the sea, and then it makes sense. It's not about kicking the Israelis to the sea, it's about create a new reality where everyone is equal. About your question. So what I do personally, I mostly go to meetings with the Israeli teenagers. We do it the same way like this meeting. We go Israeli and Palestinian. For them it's the first time they meet Palestinians. It's the first time they hear about the other narrative from first hand. And for me it's really important, and I feel like there is an impact. Another, like the biggest event of the movement is the Memorial Day. It's the way we remember the people who died along the years from the conflict, and it's a really special event. It was the first, I would say, time when I felt like I really want to become a peace activist was there when I came to the ceremony, and I realized that they are talking about both sides, both pain, like the pain of the Palestinians, the pain of the Israelis, and it was really human for me. It was the first time I felt it, because Israeli memorial ceremonies is so militarized, so I would say commemorating their only pain and death, and for me, like today, I cannot go to these ceremonies anymore. And it's again, it's the way, part of the brainwash system of the Israelis to want to like strengthen this sense of victim and the sense of they are the evil and they want to kill us and we have to defend ourselves. So for me, the ceremony was really life-changing to realize, oh, actually, we can talk another language. We can talk about humanity, not about like victimhood. We have another new project. It's called Midreshet Dror and the School for Peace, on Freedom School on the Palestinian side, and basically this is more designated for people between 21 to 30, like they finish the army service and they go, and we make the like dance month that they go every day to the West Bank. They live together in Jerusalem and they learn about the reality in the West Bank, the occupation and Palestinian life there. And like the most committed activists of the movement are those who did this this project. You want to add? We have also shared like mixed groups of Palestinian cities and Israeli cities, and activists come together and they think together a different way for direct actions. It can be putting stickers on garbage cans all over Tel Aviv. It can be create demonstration, go and escort Bedouins in the West Bank. Like we have many different things we do.
Yeah, I will say shortly what I think we are doing in this organization. We mostly trying to bring people together. That's our goal. This system, the system there, is separating us no matter what. I live in Jericho, and Jericho is like 5 meters from the first settlement, like 5 minutes by the car from the first settlement, which called the Rose of Jericho. Yeah, the Rose of Jericho is here. They have fence. It has been there for 30 years. They have water, they have army, they have support, they have fence, they have cars, they have airports, they have citizenship, all the rights. And I was born here 5 minutes away. I don't have any rights, and we don't speak the same language. We don't talk to each other. We don't understand each other when we are afraid from each other. That's how the system wants us to be afraid always from each other. You are Arab. I was terrified of the Jewish people most of my life until I met them. So what we are doing, we are trying to bring people to meet, to talk, to disagree, but not to fight. And as Mahmoud Darwish is a Palestinian poem, he said before he was expelled from Palestine, he was in love with a Jewish lady. Her name is Tamar Ben Eri. And when he left, she sent him a message. She said, when we are going to meet. He said, after a year and the war. She asked, when will the war end? He answered, the time we meet. So what we are doing, we are trying to bring people to meet. That's basically what we are mostly doing, to see, to walk. And we are teaching about, we don't think Palestinians are the only victims, and we always are victimhood. Myself, I'm not a victim of anyone. We all victims maybe of one system, but I'm not here to victimize myself. And I'm not here to say I have all the rights and they don't have the rights. And I'm not here to say Palestinians are angels and Israelis are evil. No, I am here to say there is a lot of problems in our land. There is one side is taking control. There is one side is going against the international law and against all the laws in the world. And the other side is resisting it, doesn't accept it. Sometimes it's violence, sometimes it's not violence. All these ways is not accepted in my life. We are here. As you know, what's her name? Layla something said once, if you are here to stand with me, you are wasting your time. But if you are here because your liberation is a bond on my liberation, we have something to do. And we are asking everyone here in this room, don't support Combatants for Peace. So Combatants for Peace is doing a lot of jobs, a lot of things. We are fighting the occupation in all the non-violence way. We are trying to help people to survive in their own lands. We are trying to bring Israelis and Palestinians, as I said, to meet each other and to see each other pain. And I myself, when she asked about Holocaust, I went myself, the first flight in my life, I went to concentration camps. Because without understanding the pain and the trauma of our other people, you will never understand them. And guess what? I have a lot of Israeli friends right now. Mostly agree with me and some don't agree with me, and we don't fight. They still respect me and I respect their opinions. And they didn't go to kill in Gaza because they have seen me as a human being. And that's our message. Our message to the whole world, to our people. In this land, no one is leaving, not the Israelis and not the Palestinians. And it's our choice to keep fighting for another 75 years and to keep giving our new generation all this hate and power and fire. How come we love our kids if we are transferring to them all these things? Transferring to them all this hate. What's happening now in Gaza is a big thing. And what happened before is a big thing. In 7th of October, it will change the situation, and we are here to ask you and to tell you to work us together to change it for better situation and not worse as it is right now.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I think you mentioned a very important point, to understand the pain of the others as the first step. Yeah. I remember, I lost the overview, I'm so sorry, but I remember here, there, and there.
Hi, good night. Thank you so much, first of all. And I really appreciate this conversation, especially for what you both represent. And I wanted to ask, both of you have talked about the role of international institutions. You have criticized countless times international law, and countries signing conventions as the Geneva Convention, but like the lack of action. But at the same time, you have a talk about the need of like external action, in other words, humanitarian intervention. So my question is, do you believe in institutions as United Nations, and do we have another option than believing on them and waiting for their action? Thank you.
I would start by saying that these institutions, there is no equality there. Like, who gave the United States the veto? Who says that their voice is more important than other voices? So, unfortunately, this is how the world works right now, by power. I think we shouldn't wait for them, for sure. We should do everything we can, because people are dying in thousands every day. Yeah, we should put as much pressure as we can on the UN, on the Western governments, the people in the city, everyone, and we should try always to put as much pressure as we can. But for sure it's fucked up that some countries has a veto and some not, and they are those who actually make a lot of money from these wars by selling weapons, and we are waiting for them to tell us, stop, please stop. No, they are making millions. They will not stop. Okay, so for sure we shouldn't wait for them. Yeah.
I was criticizing because I think law means law. Means it should work in everyone. Means the same law works in the Ukrainian, When the Ukrainians were throwing Molotov cocktails at the Russian tanks, I saw pictures, the whole world was celebrating the brave Ukrainian people throwing Molotov at the occupation, which is their right. They have the right to defend themselves. And after 70 years of occupation, if I throw Molotov cocktail on Israeli jeep, I could be shot and called terrorist by the same law. The same law that, I don't want to read the law now, but the same law that have decided, 242-338-2334. This is international community decisions that happened against Israel. So if there is law, where is the law? The same law that went to destroy Iraq, everything, even though there were nuclear weapons after, should work everywhere. That's all what I'm saying. I'm not criticizing. I'm criticizing myself. Also, it's not about law. It's about, I'm talking about all kinds of rights. All the vegan people who are now in Gaza fighting and killing kids. How come I can be vegan? I refuse to. Or I am, as a Palestinian, I'm against cutting trees. I'm Muslim, for example. I was born as Muslim, and they taught me in Islam I'm not allowed in war to kill animal or to kill woman or to kill a child or to cut a tree. When Hamas do this, I will say no. This is against my beliefs. This is against my Islam. When anyone else will do this, I will say this is against my Islam. But I will not accept it from my friends and not accept it from the other people, because this is called hypocrisy. And that's why I was making... I have no problem with the international law, and I wish it works as a law.
Osama, could you please do me a favor and pass the mic to her? Thank you.
Danke. Ist okay so? Ja. Ich werde jetzt auf Deutsch sprechen. Und die Bemerkung, die du vorhin gemacht hast, dass der Holocaust nicht ein Teil deiner Geschichte ist, finde ich nicht korrekt. Weil solange wir nicht die Geschichte eines Volkes, aller Völker, als unsere eigene anerkennen, werden wir keinen Frieden auf dieser Erde haben.
quickly translate it for everybody,
Yeah.
especially for our guests?
She was saying that she's not agreeing with what you said about the Holocaust, that you would not feel like you have to learn about the story because, so it's her words, not mine, as long as we are not accepting all the like all history of every society or like human beings as our own, we will not find peace.
Christine is going to do that. Okay, this was Arab, and once again in English. Thank you.
So that was Arabic. I'll do it in English. As I believe what you were asking was that you said that the Holocaust was not a part of your story, but that Holocaust is actually a part. If we don't see that as a part of human suffering or as a part of the human story, then we're never going to have peace. Was that right? Habe ich das richtig übersetzt? Yeah? Better? Okay.
I think we're mixing between two questions now. How important is the Holocaust and how it's a crime against the humanity, and why we don't teach it to our kids in our schools. That's what I answered before. I answered before when we teach history about the Ottomans, about the Canaani's. Do you know any history about the Canaani's? Yes. Because this is not part of your history. Again, this is not part of your history. They teach us our history. I'm not against teaching Holocaust. I'm not against teaching the crimes that was done by people to other people. It's against the humanity. And but again, you can't go to the Palestinian kids, and tell them, the ones who's destroying your house, the one who's preventing your water, the one who's controlling your school, the one who's standing there who shot your brother and your sister and your grandfather, is a Holocaust survivor. How are they gonna hear this? How are they gonna hear this? And if you think Holocaust is important, don't allow it to happen again. It's over again. It's happening again now for other people. Not only the Palestinians, also in Rwanda, also in many places in this world. It's happening again. So instead of keep teaching ourselves history, which usually, I am a tour guide, so usually they tell us when you say the word history, you have to be sure that it's two words. It's his story or her story. So then we get on. Anyway, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Just want to add, or just to remember, we mentioned in the beginning that the hierarchization of pain is nothing which will brings us forward. Okay, just to remember, because I could also add who is talking in Germany about colonialism, about slavery, about apartheid in South Africa. Everything is history. So just don't hierarchize, please. Next question.
Hi. Thanks for sitting together, and thanks for starting Midrash Trauer. Wow. I stand here and you can't see it through my face, but wow. If I could put the microphone near my heart. Tal Shalom, I'm from Jerusalem. I'm Israeli. And 5 years ago, I started an underground project with a bunch of artists in Gaza. We create together really high quality art. And no one knows, but we keep on doing it. From a really big religious family of 10 kids. And all my brothers have served in the army and are in the army. And while they were in the army, they would come and help me in the production days of filming and producing the projects with the people in Gaza. I'm standing here and I'm split into 5 souls, at least. And this world is so scary, guys. So gentle. Yeah. Oh, I usually don't have a problem speaking in front of people. My legs are shaking because what I'm standing on is so fragile and so complicated. I also have some people that connected me to the activists, the people in Gaza that I know. The people that connected to me to them are called Migdal Or, and they live in these settlements around Gaza Strip. And several of them lost their lives, activists that spend most of their time raising money for helping people in Gaza and driving them to hospitals. So that's another, it's really complicated, this world. Super complicated. And I don't know why I was born into this, but for some reason, yeah. And one of the things that's like really like super frustrating in this whole process, like there's a million things that are frustrating, but Rami Aman, maybe you've heard of him, maybe not. He's an activist in Gaza that has been trying to connect between Israelis and people in Gaza, and let's just say to be an activist in Gaza is like to be an activist that's disagreeing with Hamas is like jumping off a cliff. It's tough, and I know there's some people that are hearing this and it's not so fun to hear or stuff. And like like a lot of times me and Rami and we're talking about like how to cultivate non-violent resistance. Like when just for making a Zoom call, Rami organized a Zoom call with Israelis, and an hour later all the people in Gaza in the Zoom call were, let's just say we were not sure if they were alive or not, and what they suffered in this special this special jail that they have for people that don't agree with Hamas in Gaza. It's like this closed city. I know a lot about it. I know. It's super complicated, and I should just ask a question. But I'm standing here, and I just feel like, whoa, things are coming out of me because I have a responsibility. Because for some reason, I was traveling in Europe exactly when this war started, and for some reason, you guys, I needed to say this. Just a few weeks ago, I was in Midreshet Dror, and I was showing the people in Midreshet Dror, the people in Gaza, and we were talking, and I was showing them the projects. And like every time, Rami says that every time they try to teach the kids something else in Gaza, like when he comes and he works with the kids, he tries to teach them, we can do things differently. There's a way to resist non-violently. He and anyone associated with him is in such life-threatening danger. And some of the activists that worked with him suffered violence even more horrifying than some of the people, some of my friends that have been killed on the 7th of October. And Rami says, we can't deny this. In the moment that we say that we give space, connect between the word resistance and the way Hamas is running things, there's no way anything good should happen from raping a 13-year-old and cutting her head off. Nothing good should come out of this. And this happened to a girl I know. And when I hear you all clapping hands, saying, when there's resistance, when there's occupation, we can do this, I'm like, I want to jump off a building. What kind of resistance are you guys talking about? I don't know. I have. Maybe I'm wrong.
So that's your question?
Yeah,
Thank you.
I just wanted to share these things, and I would love to hear. And
Yeah,
thank you all for listening and giving space. I really spoke a lot.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
First of all, thank you for sharing your emotions and your feelings, and every feeling and emotions will come here. We are not against, and I understand the pain of what happened in 7th of November, and the problem is like again that we started this conflict since only 7th of October. A lot of things happened before and after. If you don't know, dear, there is 700,000 Palestinians were kidnapped to Israeli jails in the last 30 years. Let's imagine the world without Hamas, as Bassem Youssef said. Let's imagine this world without Hamas and give it a name. We will call this world West Bank, where we don't have Hamas, where we are not get arrested for speaking with Israelis. We have all the freedom to go and to talk with Israelis and to bring them to Jericho and Nablus and Ramallah with permission from the Palestinian Authority. And this...
Some compassion, dear.
What?
Some compassion. I always hear Palestine.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you. No, I just said, I said before 200 times, if you don't hear, I said, what happened is not right. And I don't accept any violence. I'm saying it again. And any form of violence, either by Hamas or by the Israeli army, is a crime and it's against the international law. And I am trying to explain how we prevent ourselves of reaching this place. Because if we are putting all the problems around what happened in 7th of November, we are losing the point. We are losing why we are here. We are not here to defend Hamas. Yeah, we are not here to defend Hamas, and we are not here to defend anyone else. We are here to say truth. Don't think I celebrate or I'm happy for her friend who lost her life. I supposed to be in this party, by the way. You know, I'm telling you now a story. I supposed to be in that party. With a party where people get shot. I was invited to be there. So it could happen against me. There are 10 Palestinians were killed there and 20 Filipinos were killed there. I'm not justifying the death. It's all bad. It's all massacres. My heart is bleeding for your 17 years old friend or my friends, my Israeli friends, daughters and this. But we, in order to solve the situation, is not just to, I feel for you. I feel for you and I understand you and I understand the Israeli narrative as much as I understand the Palestinian. I educate myself about the Israeli narrative and the Israeli pain. And again, as long as there is occupation, we gonna suffer. We gonna suffer. We gonna lose our friends. I lost my friends when I was 14. My friends get killed by snipers in front of me. And then the conflict is not only Israelis and Palestinians. The violence that's happening in our land is making me violent with my sisters, with my brothers, with my friends, with my animals, because I'm living this tough situation. Since I was 14, I was sent to jail, military jail. What do you expect from me to be or to do? In order to make me a better human being, give me better situation, you know. Yani I'm not trying to say that, as you said, also Palestinians right. There is one occupation. The resistance is not. There all kind of resistance is, according to the international law, is legal. I refuse violence. As a human being. I will not celebrate the death of her friend or the death of anyone in Gaza. And I feel compassion, and I'm so sorry, and I apologize that I couldn't convince enough people like you to make pressure and change the situation before the 7th of November happened, because we were all sleeping, and then we wake up. Thank you.
Okay, ja, ich habe hier leider halt auch eine Schlange.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was my question first. Rotem, do you want to add something?
Tal, right? Your name is Tal. Your name is Tal, Shalom. So, I was in your last event in Jerusalem a month ago, and you did this, dancing, Zoom, whatever, I don't know how to call it. Actually, my friend Mariam invited me. She's a Palestinian from 48, and she helped you to organize it. She's amazing. And I want to share something which is really sensitive, but I didn't feel connection there. It was really difficult for me to sit there in front of the Zoom and to see these Gazans trying to move, and as everything is normal. And then after 1 hour, you started a party, kind of, and there were no Palestinians in the room except to Mariam, and maybe Jawdat, her friend, and maybe one. It was mainly like Israeli Jews dancing in the space, and on the wall there were 2 Palestinians from Gaza dancing. And something, I don't know, I feel like the work that should be done and is much more. At least we should talk about the pain first, and there is a lot pain to process together before we can dance. And I dance with Palestinians, and I love Palestinians, and I have a Palestinian girlfriend, and I live with them. Literally, I lived in Bethlehem. I really know what is needed to reconcile, but I feel what was done there was a bit. It wasn't deep enough. It was like let's go over. And I know you have maybe good relationship with these Gazans because you know them for many years. But for Israelis who just came to this space, who don't know these Gazans, and suddenly ask them to dance with them together in the space, but we don't know them. How let's dance together? For you, I guess it makes sense because you have this relationship with them. For me, it was a bit missing and not really respecting, actually, the Palestinian reality. And it was a bit simplifying for the Israelis, the situation. Like, we just have to dance together. Let's come together. Let's create the spaces of love and peace and dance together. But it's not this. Actually, what is needed is to cry together. You know, to really cry together for days before you can dance together.
Thank you. Okay, I was told that you are waiting for a long, long time, and then we go over to there and there. I'm so sorry, but really, it's lots of people. I'm sorry, but you have to come to me.
So I'm speaking as a German here. Hello, oder? And I'm 71 years, and since more than 50 years now, I follow the history more or less what happens in Israel, what happens in Palestine. I have friends on both sides since many, many, many years and have a lot of experiences with them. And with our media in Germany, I realized since all these years that all little stories that happen in a bad way to any Jew, sometimes really also things that are not nice, yes, but they're not killed, they're not offended, and it's written in a newspaper, you know. But when I hear with other channels from other sides, you know, that Palestinians are killed, we can't read it in the newspaper. It's not written there because they don't count. And always when there was intifada or something, then the world listened, you know, because something big happened. And then we had the news also what happened in Palestine or with Palestinian people. But as soon as it was quieter again, the situation was, okay, we forgot about the people. And now this big thing happened, and the world understands we need a solution because all the weapons don't help. It's getting worse and worse, and it's not a wonder that this really happened this way. Because when you have no hope for the future, the children have no hope on the Palestinian side, and Israel can prosper and can really live. The people can live there. Then there must happen something. And now you see the people in London and in other countries, they demonstrate for human rights, you know, and we must discriminate. We in Germany, our government, we stand with Israel, and we what do they say always? What's their word? Staatsräson. And I hate this word. I hate it so much. Of course, we have a history. Yes, we have a history with the Holocaust, which is awful. It is so awful what happened. There is no question. And the massacre was awful. And I have compassion with all that. But I also have compassion with the 75 years of people who have no rights whatsoever, no rights. And there must be a political solution, and our government really has the responsibility to say what is right, what is wrong. Yes, we have the responsibility, I understand this, you know, to be with Israel, but we have to say something. We have to say, no, Mr. Scholz, this is not right, what Israel is doing, you know, with delivering weapons, and that we're not able to say something. You know, people lose their jobs because they stand with Palestinian people. That's awful, isn't it? So I think we should be loud, and we should tell our government, no, we stand with everybody, you know, with Israeli people, with Jewish people, with Palestinian people. That's what I mean, I think.
Thank you. Okay, sorry, but it's because time is running out. Okay. Do you want to? Hi.
I can ask. I have a question. Okay. What? Okay. I have the microphone now.
I don't know why. No. Okay.
No.
You, and you both.
Can I ask a question? Can I? Okay, I will ask a question now. Thank you. I'm also from Israel. I'm sitting here with many emotions, uncomfortableness with everything that my country has done, and just the feeling of of everything that is happening. I just want to say that it's very complicated in a 2-hour conversation, and I want to encourage everyone that is sitting here to go to and read, or if it's really interesting for you, but not because it's like the cool thing to do right now, just because you're really interested in that, or humans are like, you care about that. Which is also like a question for me, like, why is Israel-Palestine so interesting in the world? I don't know, like, there's so much pain everywhere, in the world, everywhere. Like, why are we so important? But this is another topic, maybe. Yeah, so I just want to say, it feels like a trend, and it feels quite pathetic sometimes. Like, also, like, pro-Israel, pro-Palestine. It feels so superficial. And I want to say that, like, it's so much more complicated. And we are all victims. Like, I am a victim, you are a victim, and we are not victims. We can all, like, not be victims. And I think that's important to say. And I feel like I feel quite stupid, like we are in Germany. And what's happening right now is happening in Palestine and Israel, and we are now talking. I feel very stupid. And like, I think that you and I should go to Israel and to the Knesset, and we should protest against this. And you should go to wherever you can go and protest and bring your people to protest. Like, our government is shit, your government is shit, Hamas is shit, and they should all go home. Everyone should go home. And I'm really, like, wondering what to jail. Everyone. And I think, yes, we should definitely dance. And I didn't appreciate what you said to her, because she was doing like her life work, I assume. And like, wait. Okay, I'm sorry. But just to say that, yeah, we should fucking dance, because there's nothing else better to do in this world right now. And to just celebrate love and bring this energy to the world. And my question is, like, what about the resistance to Hamas and to the Abbas and all of those Arab leaders that have so much money, and they're not, like, there's no fair distribution chalukah, of the money, or like how they run their people, or like their government. And I really am wondering and questioning, like, do you know if there's any people that wants Abbas or Hamas to go home and really have like a democratic or some leader that is doing things right?
Just one sentence. What I mentioned before was about the need to acknowledge the pain of the other so we can celebrate life. The problem is most of Israelis, they live in bubbles. They don't have Palestinian friends. They don't dance together. And Palestinians mainly, they are not willing to dance with Israelis. Okay, this is the thing. So in order to really be in a place where we can dance together and really dance, we should look in the eyes and acknowledge the pain and the suffering and reality. And then until we don't acknowledge reality and acknowledge the inequality and the apartheid and all these, we will not really dance together because they will not dance with you. Okay, and I dance with Palestinians. Believe me, I dance with them every day. But this is really necessary.
I think sometimes, when I hear the words, like the same words, I appreciate your dreams and I appreciate how much nice words you see. But let me go and convince someone in South Hebron Hills who struggle every day, to bring a little bit of water to his goats, and he's running away from the settlers with weapons and the soldiers with weapons, and both are attacking him, and to go to his house and say, listen, let's open your chakras, and let's dance. There is a big difference between your life and my kid life. My kid dream is to sit on the beach. He's 20 years old now, to see beach. Yeah? You have been all around the world. So all that I'm saying is there is different levels of lives and culture and education and needs between the two people. You said Israel and Palestine, our leader and your leaders. What kind of leaders we have? We don't have army. We don't have forces. We don't have borders. We don't have airport. We don't have port. We don't have. We don't control our water. We don't control anything. So we don't have country. We don't have leaders. We don't need now to say, let's solve all your problems before I end your occupation. No, 1 second. No. All what I'm saying is ending the occupation is one story, and the problems between the Palestinians themselves, it's damn story, but you don't go to Jordan and say, I will occupy you until you solve all the problems between Netanyahu and Gantz and all the others, and then we will think about ending the occupation. No, the occupation is international crime and it should be end no matter what. This is the first thing. The second thing, of course, there is corruption in the Arab world, and I am against it, and I will keep fighting against it. My fight to freedom is not only against Israel, is against all the corruptors and the dictators in the Arab world and all around the world. And that's why I'm here in Germany. I'm not doing my work in Jericho, because I want the whole world to hear me and not only this small community of people in Jericho and Israel. And I appreciate the dance. I do it a lot. But it was journey to learn what is the meaning of the dance. And guess what? Every time I go to dance, and I enjoy the dance, I have to go back through the checkpoints, and be insulted and be stopped for hours until they ruin all my dancing night and they ruin all the peace I built in my heart with the Israeli people. And then I go to my home, and the entrance of my city, there is a checkpoint, and they don't allow me in, and I have to go around. And that's why we will never succeed to dance until we succeed to live together, equal, and then dance.
Okay, we have 3 last questions.
It's already 10 o'clock. Maybe everybody can do it in a shorter way so that the last 3 questions can go through.
Thanks. So thank you for doing it. The temptation is high to say something about politically, because I disagree with quite a lot. So I think when you do something non-political, I would think it's good to stay non-political in the event. But my question is connected to it, and it is about knowledge among Palestinian young population about international relations. Because, for example, there were a lot of sincere efforts by American presidents to negotiate some sort of peace. And my question is how widespread, for example, conspiracy theories are among young Palestinians, because my suspicion is that there's a lot of friend-enemy thinking and a lot of black and white thinking. And for example, sincere efforts by Germany or America aren't recognized by Palestinian people.
that really a lot of parties really try to create a Palestinian state which works, which is viable, and all these efforts are not seen, and it would help a lot the peace process if this would be seen, because the whole occupation, Israel isn't doing it for fun. I mean, it's a pain in the ass. It's so much suffering for Israel too, so they are doing it for fun. So my question is, how widespread are conspiracy theories, and how widespread is the knowledge about international relations in Palestine? If you meet those people, I try to keep it at a grassroots level, my question, with the people you meet. Thank you.
No, I am Arab. My mind is very small.
I cannot relate to the question. I felt like you are asking us to give you credit for something, like you representing the West or the Germans and the Americans, and we should like give you respect for trying to help us to solve our conflict. For me, it's a bit. It sounds colonial, a bit. I feel like the interests of the West, they are not speaking it, but it's basically money and power. They want to build a new gas through Israel, so they can challenge Putin, and they want to sell us weapons, so we kill each other. But I don't feel like we need to give you credit for something right now. We appreciate any help, but as long as it's for everyone, not for one side. So, yeah, if you are pro-human beings, I would respect you. But if you are pro-Jewish only, and this is what I feel from Germans and the United States these days, that they respect mainly Israeli lives. So I don't feel like I should. I didn't understand. Okay, sorry. So. I was talking to the German Prime Minister and Biden. Sorry, not for you.
Calling U.S. President sincere discredits your question. The U.S. President finesse, that's politically, economically wrong.
Yeah.
In the year 2000, there was a very courageous project which was funded also by the European community. It was a school book, and it was made by an Israeli and a Palestinian. The Israeli was a psychologist, Dan Bar-On, and the Palestinian, Sami Awad, was a professor in Bethlehem for education. This school book was for the 10th class. On one page, you would have the Israeli narrative. On the other page, you would have the Palestinian narrative. So pupils in school would study both narratives, which obviously contradicted totally. But to learn in school about the other. We were talking about that before. We have to learn the suffering, the pain of the other. That was one project. It was rejected by the Palestinian Education Ministry because if you do that, you get weaker. You have to change. You have suddenly to see completely other sides from the other, and that makes you weaker. On the Israeli side, there were courageous teachers. They would take that school book, but it was never really published in broad. But that's a project I think is worth once to renew, because it starts in school. Peace starts in school where you still are open and you are not so completely already with stereotypes about one and the other. Thank you. Yad v'yad. Yad v'yad.
Yad v'yad. Thank you for the question. I know this book and I know the book and I know Sami. He's our friend. And I want to say again, yes, I agree. Education is the source of solving all the conflicts and all the problems. But education will start as a result of peace agreement, as a result of something. For example, I have children. After 300 settlers went down to a village called Huwara next to Nablus, burned the whole village, burned their cars, their houses, their homes, everything. It was pogrom, according to the Israelis. Yeah? And none of them was arrested. None of them. 6 people were detained, and the day after they were released. You know, that's what I am against. Now it's not Israelis and Palestinians. Anyway, I went day after with my Israeli friends, 700 people, to go to Huwara and say to the people of Huwara, this is not under the name of Judaism. Who have done this are a group of criminals, it's not a group of Jews. Because we care about our partners and about the people who are living with us in the land. What happened to us here? Guess what? I took my children to go and teach them, not on books, but in life, peaceful resistance. At the entrance of Huwara, and we went just to say to Huwara people, we are sorry. They are sorry. This is not happening in our name. What happened to us, sir, that the army stopped us, beated us, tear gas us, arrested us. Yeah? This way, no matter how much I'm giving my kid books, he will come back to my home and say to me, as he said, how I can know who's the good Jewish and who's the bad Jew. How I can know the difference between this and that. And that's the problem. The problem is there is military occupation sitting on the people's hearts and daily lives. And daily lives, I keep repeating this because I feel like we don't understand. I feel like I want to invite one of you, really, anyone who wants, to live 3 weeks. 3 weeks, not 3 months, not 3 years like that you go to the army, or 2 years. 3 weeks with the Bedouins in South Hebron. The people who have been living there since 50 years, guys, not yesterday, who still doesn't have water and doesn't have electricity and doesn't have houses. They are living in old caves. You know why? Because of their race. The other people came from Russia and came from Germany recently, few years ago, in the 70s and the 80s and the 90s. And they have big, huge settlements with water, swimming pools, everything. Why? That's what I'm asking. I don't want to live in country without the Jewish people, but I don't want to live under their boots and their army, military rules. I want to live with them. As long as this is not happening, no education and nothing will help us to change the situation. Thank you.
First of all, thank you for both of you to be here, really. In these times, especially in this time, I think it's a strong thing, guys, to stand here. We are here in Europe, we are in Freiburg, but they are coming from far away. Where's the war that's happening right now, those put? It's not about their family, it's not about their story, what the work they are doing. We are here to understand. We are not here to discuss what is right, what is not right here. They are coming to tell a story. When she came here and she told about her project, I never heard about it as a Palestinian. I never thought this is something could happen. I don't know how effective. It's not about agreeing how it's effective her work or not. It's not about how much you appreciate her work or not. How much Osama is working. I don't agree with Osama coming from the same village from Jericho. From Jericho we're coming. How many times we met? Do you remember the last time when we met? Do you remember? We were in a tantra course, dear, with Israel. I will tell you the truth.
Yeah, with Israelis.
You know what they did over there? It's not about being the victim right now. We were in a tantra course, and you know what we did there? They stand in the stage, and they said, here, there's 3 Palestinians are doing peace with us. It's the most disgusting things I ever heard. You don't remember? I think there's a 3rd guy was here. Mustafa? Yeah, probably. I think I had this 1 month now sitting at home, talking to my friend, seeing, observing the democracy in Europe we are living, guys. Like, I saw horrible view in Europe. I forget about Palestine. I saw horrible pictures in Europe for people standing and saying their opinion. When Jamal talked here, I still didn't ask him who's from our friend he was fired. This is happening to us right now here. This is now a problem of Israel-Palestine. But they are talking about non-violent resistance. Egal what. It's not important. Hear them. Tell them what we can do. This is the question. They are here to ask for your support, to be here. To be heard in what? What we can do to change the situation. The lady, she talked here, she is discussed from her German politics. How many are from us discussed from our politics here? This is the question. And we know this is our problem is coming from here. They are not terrorists, the Hamas or the Israeli. I don't know you. I swear we never met, Oda. We never met. I think I found him the most brave Israeli he talked in the stage. The most brave. Like you are compassionate. Like you don't care if he's Palestinian or not. You don't question him if he is pro-Palestinian or he's pro-Israeli right now. Your friend close to you, I can see it. It's hard for anyone here to see it, but I can see it because I work like you for 6 years of my life. And I was kicked from the project because a settler close to my home, he was allowed to be there and to get the land and not to continue the same project you are doing, guys. And you know about it, Ikumi. Many from the people in Freiburg are coming from there. They are not here because they love Freiburg. They came because they were kicked from there. And I think you are in Freiburg because your connection with the people from there. Not because you know Johanna or you know Steffi who invite you to make this place for you. Make your speech and say what you really want from those people who are standing here. How they can support, how they can make change. We are done of this talk for years long, as she said, 75 years. 75 years. It's the same politics here. We are the one who's supporting these people over there. To make this violence, to call them a terrorist. We are supporting them. We are the fucking terrorists here. Keep discussing about our problem, what he said is wrong, I agree with you or not. This is not the problem. It's like if we don't stand, in a few days probably they will use a rocket will smash Gaza. 1-2 million. It's a lot, and then we say, we are late. The train left. We can't change anything. No, we change 500,000 that she said stand in London. When 500 stand in Freiburg, we will change. Everyone invite his friend, educate, whatever, stand. This is what makes change. Sorry to take a lot of space. I have a question on you. Really? When the Israeli will go over their trauma and say we are ready to talk, the Palestinians, they don't have nothing to offer in the table, you know that. They had many times offer in the table And it was not done, you know. We are not lying to each other. When the Israeli will go over their trauma, their suffering, what we heard, and they will sit and talk. This is the work what we have to do. The power is over there. It's not in the other side. It's clear. Thank you.
What was the question?
When the Israeli will go, when they will be ready to go over their trauma and to sit, really. This is the important right now. The war will be done.
That's not true though. There were already suggestions for peace.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, guys. So I will take responsibility as Palestinian because sometimes we just see the other side and we don't see our shit. Yeah, and that's our problem. As Israelis and Palestinians, you know, Israelis think they are the good side, they are the chosen people, everything is okay. They never done anything. All what they are doing in Gaza is just self-defense. And Palestinians, we are resisting. You know, Israelis justify the kill of kids because they're gonna be terrorists. And some Palestinians who used to explode themselves in buses, they also justify because they're gonna be soldiers. So, in order to help Israelis to get rid of their trauma, we need to help ourselves also to get rid of our trauma as Palestinians. We need the international community to send us therapists instead of weapons. Because really, we are traumatized, two traumatized people are fighting over who's more victim. We both have narratives, and our narratives never met, you know. And peace is a place where two narratives can meet and accept each other. Our problem is everyone is fighting for his own narrative and his own right, and he's the one who's good, and the others should heal from the trauma. We all are traumatized, and I can tell you stories about the trauma. And what Hamas have done in the 7th of November, I want you to say October so you are awake. Okay. What happened in the 7th of October, Hamas actually touched the wound of the Jewish people. And that wasn't right in my opinion. They touched the deepest wound in the Jewish people. The Jewish people are traumatized of being massacred and killed and burned during the history. And when this happened inside people's houses, this idea came back to their minds, and this will not help anyone to get rid of their trauma. We have to take responsibility in order to heal the trauma. We both need to take a space and understand our traumas first, and then work together to heal it, because this trauma, it's mutual. It's for both of us. Thank you.
Osama, thank you. Rotem, thank you. In the beginning, we said 2 hours, maybe 2.5 hours, maybe a break. Now it's more than 3 hours, and almost 100 people, 150 are still there. And as everybody is saying, we are here to talk to each other, and I think this happened. Many people took the microphone and said something, and we got into a discussion. And we are thankful that this night was possible, and hopefully we continue to talk.
شكرا.